Hello everyone! I have a performance coming up very soon, so I thought this would be the perfect time to explore with you one of the pieces I'm preparing for it. It is Ravel's Sonata for Violin and Cello. I absolutely love this piece. It's not my first time playing it, but it's been about 6 years since I last performed it. And this is a particularly fun piece to pick up again because it's filled with Ravel's clever techniques. Today I'm going to focus on how he transforms a motive. First, a little context. There are 4 movements in this work. Movements are like chapters in a book. They're parts of a bigger whole, but they're all different in length, character, and in emotions. Just as a book might have a recurring theme or a character, so does a piece of music. Ravel uses a small fragment of a melody and uses it as a recurring idea, which is called a motive. It acts as a thread through all the movements, giving the piece a sense of unity. But Ravel doesn't make it easy for us. He transforms the motive every time it appears, and so it's not always easy to spot. I'm still discovering new places where it appears, but today I'm going to show you some of my favorite places. So let's dive in.
So this is the opening of the sonata. It sounds like this. This repeated line sets up the mood for the cello's melody, and once the cello enters, it becomes an accompaniment. Once the cello completes the melody, the roles switch, and the violin takes over the melody. Now let's go to the opening of the second movement. Could the mood be more different than the first? But listen carefully, do you recognize the melody? It's from the opening of the first movement. Ravel takes just the first 4 notes of the melody and turns them into a motive. Ravel continues to use this motive in the second movement. Follow the circles on the score to see where the motive appears. Now let's go back to the first movement, but to the very end of the movement. This is my line alone. But when combined with the cello part, isn't this an incredible effect? The motive appears when the 2 instruments play together, and it appears 4 times in just 5.5 measures. Well, this is becoming like a puzzle at this point, but you wait until the next one. If you can hear the motive in this excerpt, you have better ears than me. This is from the end of the second movement. The motive will appear twice. So, did you hear it? This is actually a really difficult one, and I discovered this quite recently. The motive is actually hidden in the chords. Here and here. I know, it's still difficult to hear. Let's take a closer look to see which notes are in these chords. Well, all I can say is that Ravel was a really smart guy. Well, let's see if Mihai knew this.
Hey Mihai,
Hi.
did you know that about the last part of the second movement?
No.
I got him.
Thank you.
Well, I guess Ravel got us both. Okay, on to the third movement. It starts with this beautiful cello solo. You'll see that the motive is slightly different this time. You might have noticed that compared to the other movements, the mood here is much calmer. It's definitely much slower, but the difference is not just in the tempo, it's also in the motive. Let's go back to the original motive to investigate the difference. The first three notes of the motive make up a minor chord, but the notes that follow make up a major chord. What makes this motive interesting is the conflict and the tension between the minor and the major modes. Now let's go back to the third movement. This time the notes in the motive make up just the minor chord. The lack of tension in the motive contributes to the calmer character in this excerpt. The next and the final excerpt of the video appears in the middle of the fourth and the last movement of the piece. Let's hear it again with the score. The motive appears twice here, but the second one is the closest to the original version in the very beginning of the sonata. Let's hear them back to back so we can compare. Because it appears in its original form, the motive is much easier to recognize. It's used as a transitional material, so it comes and goes very quickly, but it's a nice moment of reflection and a gentle flashback to the opening of the piece.
I hope that was interesting, and I hope now you know what I meant by Ravel transforming the motive and how difficult it is to spot some of them. So to recap, the original motive in the opening was used as this mysterious sounding accompaniment. But in the second movement, it became more competitive and agitated in character. We saw it split between two instruments, hidden in chords, modified and calmer in character in the third movement. A brief flashback to the opening in the last movement. Ravel said that this sonata is like a symphony for two instruments. It's amazing how, with such a small motive, he's able to achieve this incredible variety in color, sonority, and character. This motive appears many more times throughout the piece, and there are also other motives. Speaking of which,
We have a challenge for you. The second theme of the first movement goes like this.
and after Mihai plays that, I take over that theme. And together, in context, it sounds like this. I challenge you to find this theme in the last movement, in the fourth movement of this piece.
And if you think that's easy, try finding it in the third movement as well.
Wow, well, now that's really advanced. Because I didn't even know until a few days ago. So I'm going to copy a link to a YouTube recording of this piece in the description box, and you're going to post your answer in the comment section with a timing from the recording where you hear this theme. And next weekend we are going to perform this piece in its entirety, and it's going to be streamed online. Whenever the link is ready, I'm going to post that also in the description box below. So don't forget to check that out because you can hear the entire piece. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks to Mihai for joining me.
Thank you, Mari.
And see you next time.